Happy New Year, friends, and congrats on making another rotation around that big fireball in the sky we call the sun. 2025 is poised to be a huge year for us gamers with GTA 6, Nintendo Switch 2, Death Stranding 2 on the beach. I'm not the only one excited for that, right? Well, here at The Bros, we have our own big three to be excited about, though I won't spoil them now. Andrew and I have done a ton of research the past week, and we've come to the consensus that 2025 is the year for co-op gaming. We really have a ton of great co-op games coming this year, so much so we're making a whole separate video where we go over every major co-op game slated for this year. But for now, let's talk about the best of the best, the top 10 upcoming co-op games of 2025.
Let's start off this list with Dying Light the Beast, a game both Gabe and I are skeptical of, but we've got our fingers crossed the team at Techland has been listening. We both missed the first title of the series, much to our commenters' dismay, so we were sure to try the sequel years later. Turns out we made the wrong move there. The sequel certainly has its moments, but is overscoped and has some poorly implemented shared progression if you're playing in co-op like we obviously were. So far we know the scope has been dialed back, with this title projecting to give you around 20 hours of playtime depending on your completionist habits, and we also know the game will have 4-player co-op with shared progression. We really just need to know more details on how that's going to work. New additions like vehicles, an increase in firearm, and your quote-unquote beast powers will add a lot to what is already a fun action game, but we're going to keep the beast at number 10 until we actually get to see the co-op it's been missing in the first couple of trailers. With the summer window release date, we probably don't have to wait too long to get that full breakdown.
We got our first real look at Borderlands 4 last month, and it looked like, well, more Borderlands. Credit where it's due, Borderlands has been a staple of co-op gaming for over 10 years now. It's just that the franchise hasn't really managed to capture the same highs since Borderlands 2. I'm hopeful that Borderlands 4 will be a return to form, however. The addition of a grappling hook and a more seamless open world sounds like a welcome change from the last game's more compartmentalized levels. Another change from the last game is just better writing as a whole. At least that's what the team claims to be committed to. Hopefully that means we don't get any more cringe streamers as villains. I'll settle for some bad jokes from Claptrap instead. I'm a sucker for a decent looter shooter, and Borderlands has always delivered on that. If this installment can elevate other parts of the experience, then I think we're in for a good time. Look forward to playing it on all platforms bar the Switch later this year.
Remedy announced their first ever multiplayer experience, FBC Firebreak, back in October. It's a 3-player online horde shooter set in its connected Remedyverse. You'll be playing as the titular Firebreak Squad, the Bureau's most versatile unit to deal with an anomaly outbreak that's caused a year-long siege at the agency. If you know Remedy though, that all just means things are gonna be weird, paranormal, and often quite silly. Hopefully that recipe helps set FBC Firebreak apart. We've played plenty of horde shooters over the years, and it's important to find a way to differentiate itself in such a crowded subgenre. Part of that differentiation will be up to your crisis kit each player is going to put together before a mission, which includes your typical arsenal of grenades, firearms, support items, and the like, but also paranatural augments too. We don't really know what that is, we've only got one trailer to go off of, so details are sparse, but the good news is it'll be available on Steam, PlayStation, and Xbox, but most notably day one on Game Pass and PlayStation Plus. Love to see that, as it guarantees a pretty big player base at launch, and I guarantee you're gonna find Gabe and I in the trenches on day one.
Rotwood is a 4-player co-op hack-and-slash dungeon crawler supporting both online and local co-op. I got the chance to play this in early access last year and was super impressed with it. It comes from the team behind Don't Starve, as you can probably tell by its striking visuals. It plays even better than it looks though, with a ton of weapon variety and some really fun enemies to use them against. Seriously, the boss fights in this game are a total blast. There's a bit of roguelike mechanics here too, with randomized levels and picking up new power-ups and abilities as you go. This is the kind of game where button mashing and builds will only get you so far though. They've put a lot of work into the animations, encouraging you to learn attack patterns if you want to succeed. It didn't quite make our top 10 list last year, mostly since it's in early access, but it just got a big update in December and it's poised to make its 1.0 debut sometime this year. When it does, you're gonna want to check out Rotwood.
From the second that title card appeared, Gabe and I knew Tears of Metal was going to be special. This is a hack-and-slash co-op roguelite from the team behind Bloodroots that looks to fulfill all of your Braveheart fantasies and then some. You play as the leader of a Scottish battalion looking to reclaim your island from the mysterious dragon meteor that has invaded your land. You and your friends will choose between unique playable heroes and unlock powerful abilities and artifacts to enhance your builds during a run. And since this is a roguelite, you'll also be able to permanently upgrade your foot soldiers between campaigns to make your subsequent runs more successful. Everything about this sounds amazing, and it puts Tears of Metal way up on our watch list. Genuinely cannot wait to play it. Paper Call, check your inbox. We're ready to play this tomorrow if you're game.
One of my favorite parts of making a list like this is shining the spotlight on lesser known titles that we're both excited about, and Dunecrawl is genuinely one of our most anticipated games this year. This is a 4-player online and local co-op action-adventure game where you and your friends explore a wide desert atop a giant crab called a Dunecrawler. You'll discover new towns, take on quests, and battle other Dunecrawlers too. The developers themselves compared the act of piloting the crawlers similar to the gameplay in Lovers in a Dangerous Spacetime, which is a great co-op game to call back to. You'll have to work together as someone steers the ship and others man the cannons. On the surface, it looks like a simple game, but the trailer does showcase some RPG systems like outfitting your raider with different stat boosting armor pieces, and you can do the same with your Dunecrawler as well, which is so sick actually. I love the isometric art style, and all in all, this just looks totally up our alley. If you feel the same way, look forward to a demo coming next month and the full release sometime this year.
When 33 Immortals was first announced, I think everyone raised their eyebrows at the prospect of a 33-player co-op game. But after playing the title ourselves during the beta period, we can confidently say they didn't just make it work, they made it sing. In this roguelite, you squad up with 3 players directly but join runs of up to 33. During a run, you'll take on small combat challenges both in the overall main map area but also in smaller chambers that progress the run and also give you rewards that let you power up. By the end of the run, you'll meet up with as many players as possible to do an ascension battle, and if you can survive that, it's time to take on the boss. The boss is a really fun fight that takes all of your teammates working in tandem to defeat, and if you win, you'll receive keys that will allow you to complete runs on the next level, and so on and so forth. It's an ingenious way to make a roguelite, but the fact that it somehow works with that many people is unheard of. The promise of a game that's just a bunch of community raids sounded crazy, but now is penciled in as a near guaranteed top 10 co-op title by the bros when it drops this year.
These next 3 titles have really cemented 2025 as an especially strong year for co-op releases, so yes, these are the big 3 I alluded to, starting with Elden Ring Nightreign. I mean, come on, where do I even begin? If you would have told me 2 months ago that From Software would make a dedicated co-op title set in the Elden Ring universe, and on top of that it's a roguelike, yeah, I would have called you crazy. But here we are, Nightreign is very much a thing and we couldn't be more excited. The more I've read about this game, one thing becomes abundantly clear. They're really committed to making this a co-op title. From the way the bosses are designed to your unique character abilities, everything here is built around co-op play. If it isn't obvious, this is gonna be pretty different from Elden Ring. Instead of creating your own class, you play as established characters, each with their own unique abilities. You'll drop into a map and scavenge for different weapons and gear in order to make you stronger to take on a boss when the map turns to night. I don't think it'll be as good as Elden Ring, but this truly sounds like a dream game for me and my best friends. From Software has yet to let us down, so Elden Ring Nightreign can't come soon enough for us.
The next title in the big 3 this year is none other than Monster Hunter Wilds, a game Gabe and I have been looking forward to for years. Don't get me wrong, Rise was fantastic, but we both have been patiently waiting for a true sequel to Worlds, and this is clearly going to be the one to do it. Monster Hunter Wilds takes the series to current gen, next gen, whatever you want to call it, and it's really doing that by creating the most seamless hunting experience to date. You and up to 4 friends can squat up in town, head out on a hunt, slay the beast, hang out and gather resources, head back to the town to gear up, and then find your your next target all within one session, not a single loading screen included. We actually played it last year during its open beta, and that seamlessness may not sound like much, but it blew us all away. There's also the addition of the wound system, which gives more targets to communicate and coordinate on than just the tail or head, making the gameplay experience a tad bit more cooperative than before. We've heard from other more recent preview sessions the game is now running buttery smooth on a base PS5, which was a big worry at the time when we played that open beta, but still something to think about as a PC player. Overall, the scope of Wilds is truly impressive, and I can't wait to get my hands on it. Luckily, with a firm February 28th release date, I can just hibernate right now and wake up ready to go that Friday morning.
And finally, our most anticipated co-op release of 2025, you probably guessed it, is Split Fiction. Joseph Fares and the team are back with what is sure to be another co-op banger. Part of what made It Takes Two such an incredibly fun game was the insane amount of gameplay variety, and Split Fiction is trying to do the same thing. The premise this time around follows two writers who get sucked into the same simulation, bringing their stories to life. One writer is focused on sci-fi while the other writes fantasy, and so the game will bounce between various sci-fi and fantasy levels. Just like all of Hastelight's games, Split Fiction supports 2-player online and local co-op, with the return of the Friend Pass feature, which means you only need one copy to play with a friend online. The game looks a bit more mature in tone from It Takes Two, at least at first glance. I wasn't a huge fan of that book character from the previous game, so I'm happy about that, though it still looks like a family-friendly game. Following up a Game of the Year title is a tall order, but one way or another I think we're in for a special game. The best part is we don't have to wait long, as Split Fiction is set to release on all platforms bar the Switch on March 6th. That's right, a potential co-op Game of the Year is right around the corner, and we couldn't be more excited for it.
Alright guys, that's all for now, but if you enjoyed the show and left excited for co-op gaming in 2025, we're just now revving up, so consider sticking around in the long term by subscribing or helping us out with a quick like or comment. We're so excited for all the titles to come, and there's a lot, so look forward to our upcoming catalog of every major co-op title releasing in 2025, one of our most anticipated videos every year. And if you really want to support us, come join our Patreon, where we have tons of cool perks and awesome people to build a community around. Either way, we appreciate you all, and we look forward to catching you on the next one.